I went and saw Solo with my wife on the weekend, and we both really enjoyed it. Then the box office returns come in, and it's a flop. They're talking about how it flopped at the box office, and yet it's made a lot of money. Hollywood needs to stop. And this is my way of kind of throwing out there, the budgets are too high. You spent over $200 million on a movie about Han Solo, which is a standalone and stars a bunch of actors who aren't Harrison Ford, Carrie Fisher, Mark Hamill. It was a science fiction movie. It was very well done, but there's some wasted money somewhere. When your budgets are consistently over $200 million for movies these days, it's happening a lot. I don't understand. I don't understand who's making these decisions. I could have told anybody who would have listened that the Han Solo movie is not going to make Star Wars money. It's not going to make the money that Episode 7 and 8 made. It's not going to make the money that Episode 9 is going to make when it gets released next year. Episode 9 is going to be crazy money. This is ridiculous. And it's one of those things that I look at with movies, and I can't understand it. When I hear this movie has flopped, and I look at how much money it made, and I think, well, X amount of people went out to see it, so it didn't flop. You spent too much money on it. If I have a business and I spend $45,000 getting it set up, but it's a limited business in its scope for customers, and then I don't make my money back, but I service all the customers I was expected to, it's not that the business flopped. I'm a horrible businessman. Star Wars fans will eat up any Star Wars movie. It's sort of like with Star Trek. Star Trek has stuttered now since Star Trek Beyond, because Star Trek Beyond didn't make the money they expected, and it was kind of a flop as well. But Star Trek fans loved Star Trek Beyond, and there's a number of Star Wars fans that will love the Solo movie, and this is the problem. You're putting out stuff that, yes, it's pop culture and everybody knows all the pop references with Star Wars and Star Trek, but the casual movie fan, they've got a very short attention span. And when you're looking at Deadpool and Avengers and then Solo, and I really think people suffer movie fatigue during the summer, and they pick and choose. So they'll look and they'll say, well, I'll see Avengers, we'll see Deadpool. Solo, you know what, I don't know. I don't know if I want to go see a movie this weekend. So the numbers going to some of these movies are going to be low. And honestly, a movie about Han Solo without Harrison Ford isn't going to make Last Jedi money. And overseas, I can totally understand why people didn't watch it, because Han Solo's kind of an American character, very centralized, and I understand it's Corellia and whatnot, but it's a very, of all of the Star Wars movies, this is the one that felt more like old Star Wars, and I would say even more than Force Awakens. I understand people talk about The Force Awakens lifting its story from Episode 4, New Hope. Fine, I'm done with that argument. We're not having that right now. But you know, the for me, when I heard they were making this, they're making a Kenobi movie and then the Boba Fett movie, and I thought, those aren't going to make a lot of money. The Boba Fett movie is not going to make a ton of money. It's not. It can't. I'm saying that right now because the Boba Fett movie is about a criminal, a bad guy, and it's not the movie that necessarily people want. And here's the problem: if you've watched Star Wars Rebels, and I watched the first 2 seasons, I haven't seen season 3 yet. Grand Admiral Thrawn is brought in there. Grand Admiral Thrawn is an excellent character, fantastic character. Why don't they make a Thrawn movie? Because they're not banking on you knowing who Grand Admiral Thrawn is. So they're kissing up to and trying to exploit the market, the Star Wars fandom market, and they have to. They paid a lot of money for the rights to Star Wars. And yet they're not looking at the expanded universe because they don't really want to make it where it's really geared towards Star Wars fans. They want it to be geared towards everybody. And Solo shows that eventually there is a fatigue with going to see Star Wars movies. And there's no crawl at the start of this movie. It doesn't feel exactly like a Star Wars movie. It's got all of the similar beats. But there's some cheesiness to it that is totally understandable since it's, you know, previous to A New Hope and after Revenge of the Sith. But you've got to make a movie that's going to be widely popular if you're going to spend that amount of money on it. It's so much money. It's so ridiculous. And you can do so much more with so much smaller a budget. The shirt I'm wearing right now is Defenders. Now, Defenders people didn't like, but right in the bottom here, and this is why I bought this, is Jessica Jones. Jessica Jones is not a show with a big budget. No chance. None. And yet it's done very, very well. It's very effective. And it's harrowing and exciting, and you get really involved in the characters, and it's a really interesting show on a very small budget. Solo should have been a smaller budget movie. And if you look at just the end, so when they're going through, and I love the term Space Cthulhu that was mentioned on my review, and I will refer to that creature from now on as Space Cthulhu, because that's what it is. And I've waited my entire life for a movie with Cthulhu in it, so this might be as close as we get. Space Cthulhu would have cost how much? That whole sequence would have cost how much? Who okayed that? Because it's really kind of silly, and it creates this sort of a fake tension. You know, Space Cthulhu doesn't eat Han Solo because we've watched all the Han Solo movies. So you're adding in all of this supposed tension for something that everybody knows isn't going to happen. And you're probably spending millions of dollars on your special effects and on your staff. These movies have thousands of people working on them. And, you know, they're hardworking people, and I don't denigrate their work at all. I don't. There are some very hardworking people in the movie industry, and it's not their fault that some movies perform and some movies don't. And I'm not advocating putting them out of work. But I'm advocating the people who are in charge at Disney, who are okaying all these budgets, taking a look and going, wait, this is a Han Solo movie. Maybe we want to cut back that budget. Because I think the term flop gets used a lot these days. And when I see a movie make $50 to $100 million, and I think, well, how many people went out to see that last weekend? And then I hear, this was a flop, but it was #1. It's a flop based on budget. It's not a flop because people didn't watch it or didn't like it. It's based on the fact they spent too much damn money. And where did the money go? You've got a pretty small time cast, not big names. Woody Harrelson's about the biggest name in it, and I don't think Woody Harrelson commands $20 million a movie at this stage in his career. Good actor. I like Woody Harrelson. I'm not saying anything bad about him either, or about any of the actors in the movie. I thought the kid that played Han is a little wooden in parts, and certainly Emilia Clarke's accent came and went, as did the accent of the main bad guy in the movie, sort of came and went like that, but I can't see their price tags being that high. So where's the money going? And hopefully, coming out of this movie, we start seeing some more sense when it comes to budgets. Because it is one of the funniest things, and here's what I want you guys to do in the comment section below. I'm going to get things started with it this way. I think John Carter, more than being a flop, was too much money being put into a movie that it made no sense putting that much money into. John Carter is not a bad movie. It's some good popcorn fun if you want to shut your brain off for a couple hours. What movie can you think of that has flopped at the box office that in reality they just shouldn't have put that kind of money into? Obviously, the Solo movie qualifies in that category. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know your picks. Because to me, this is the problem. It's not as much that not enough of us went out to see it. They're just putting too much damn money into these movies. They're spending hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars, and then you got to add in their advertising budget, which is just off the charts. And why? Why? People are going to go and see Thanos. You don't need to spend hundreds of millions of dollars telling people to go and see Thanos and Avengers. They're going to go see it anyways. But let me know your thoughts. Hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through just having fun this video. And hey, I'll talk to you again soon.